We're going to talk about conditional formatting, the standard conditional formatting or simple conditional formatting. We're going to talk about highlight cells rules and the top and bottom rules. So I have a schedule of the stocks that are traded on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange that are grouped by industry and alphabetized and summarized as far as some profitability measurements go, like net margin, EBIT, EBITDA, and so on. And we're going to use this to look at some conditional formatting functionality. I'm going to select column D, and we're going to go to the conditional formatting drop-down list, which is in the Styles group on the Home tab right here. And we have a flyout menu, the highlight cells rules. The first four of these rules have to do with values, greater than, less than, between two numbers, equal to. The next rule has to do with text, and the following rule after that has to do with dates. And then we have a way to identify duplicate values. But beginning with the values that we can determine conditional formatting rules with is the greater than value. That field is automatically populated with half of the grand total that's at the bottom of column D. So in effect, by default, what you get really is a conditional formatting rule that conditionally formats all the items that are greater than the midpoint or the average, everything that's above average. We have several options as far as how we're going to format the cells that match the criteria that we're going to establish here. I'll leave it at the default, red fill with dark red text. And from here, we can do one of two things. I can hard code a number, I'll put 20 in there, and you can see the cells react to the number that is being compared against what the value in each cell is, and it's formatting it conditionally in the way we've selected, light red fill with dark red text. I can change that number to, let's say, 50, and we get fewer cells that are greater than 50. And that's conditional formatting in action. But we can drive this result in ways other than maintaining this dialog box and manually putting in numbers. We can also point this to a cell, and I'll just pick one, H1. Now click OK. Now I have a conditional formatting rule that says if the cell's number is greater than the content that's in H1, to conditionally format it in the way that they are all conditionally formatted currently. So if I put a 60 in this cell, Control Enter, my cells react accordingly. So that's greater than, and I can set up other conditional formatting rules with values that are less than, between, and equal to. For text, and I'm going to first select a column that has text, hover over Highlight Cells Rules, and left-click Text that contains. Now with this field, you can hard-code it with a certain value, let's say bank, or you can use wildcards, which include the asterisk, so I have anything that matches where A has something to the left of it in any field, or you can use the question marks, which act as a placeholder. So this has a match where A has at least 2 characters to the left of it. And there's a movie about wildcards that you can watch. The focus of this movie is not on using wildcards. I just wanted to point out that you can. And as before, you can reference a cell to determine the conditional reference in the rule that you're establishing here. And we can put bank there. Of course, we lost our conditional formatting in column D, because that was a reference for column D as well. And it still is. If we put 60 there, Control Enter, we get our conditional formats back in column D. Going back to the conditional formatting drop-down and looking at dates, dates work a little bit differently. The choices with dates, yesterday, today, tomorrow, in the last 7 days, and so on, are oriented around the computer clock, the internal clock of the computer. Yesterday, today, tomorrow is self-explanatory. The last 7 days are the 6 days prior to today, and then today, that's your 7th day. Last week, this week, next week. The week begins on a Sunday and ends on a Saturday. Last month is not the prior 30 or 31 days. Last month is the last calendar month. This month is this calendar month, and next month is next calendar month as well. I'm going to cancel out of that. I'm going to select column C again, left-click Conditional Formatting, and go to Duplicate Values. We have a couple options. We have the option to choose Duplicate or Unique. This may seem more functional than it actually is, and I'm going to explain that in a second, because what it could be doing is something a little bit better than what it actually does. If you choose Duplicate Records, and that's what I'm going to choose, that's the default, I'll say OK. And I'll have to down arrow here because I actually duplicated a record for this purpose. We get the record that's duplicated, but we also get the single instance of the record and the duplication. So both of the records, in this case it's the petroleum producing record, are conditionally formatted. So if you delete the duplicate records, you're going to delete that one copy of the record that you actually want. I'm going to select column C, because in order to show you the other bit of functionality, and that is to find unique records rather than duplicate records, I need to clear the conditional formatting rules that are applied to this range. And we'll get into the rules in another movie. But now I can go back and left-click Conditional Formatting, go to Highlight Cells Rules, Duplicate Values, and this time select Unique. So this time we get the reverse of what we got before, and that is, since petroleum producing is not a unique record, it's a duplicate record that we just saw, and we can see right in front of us it's a duplicate record, it's not conditionally formatted. But the problem with both of these things is that if you are after a list that contains a unique record, and your ultimate goal is to eliminate the duplicate records, or at least first identify them, this bit of functionality won't quite get you there. So I've cleared the conditional formatting rules from the worksheet so we can start over again, because the next thing I want to do is show you some of the other functionality with the top and bottom rules. You can quickly, with a couple of clicks, show the top 10, or with this spin button you can make it the top 20 or 25 or whatever you want to make it. You can actually also go over and just manually put in a number there. And again, we have our same list of standard formatting choices, and the expanded choices are available to us as well. So we can conditionally format the top 10. I'm going to cancel out of that. Or the top 10%, and again, we can make that the top 20% or whatever other number that we want. And we can do the same thing with the bottom 10 or 20 or whatever many items, or the bottom 10%. And what's kind of neat about this is actually you can stack these rules. I can make the top 10% light red fill with dark red text, and I can make the bottom 10 items green fill with dark green text. And that's something to keep in mind. We'll go over this in another movie, but these conditional formatting options here are actually establishing a list of rules that we can manipulate and build and sequence and even define in a more custom way than we can do with these standard drop-down lists. I'm going to cancel out of that and show you that there are two more options that are self-explanatory: above average and below average. So those are the conditional formatting rules. We have the highlight cells rules that enables us to quickly establish some conditional rules for formatting cells that are around a number, that are greater than, less than, between, equal to a given number. We can conditionally format text, and that includes the ability to use wildcards to establish the condition. We can format cells by using a date that's dynamically driven and referencing the computer clock. We can conditionally format duplicate values or unique values. Those are our two options. And we have the top and bottom rules where we can conditionally format the top number of items or percentage of items and the bottom number and percentage of items, or the cells that contain values that are above average or below average.